thank you for being an inspiration and a model to the rest of the Don Bosco world. Well, my dear friends, as Father Selvam already mentioned to us, the Don Bosco organization today works in 137 countries. We have presences in most of the important cities in the world and in so many parts across this globe. And again, as we know, as we were reminded this morning, our focus as a Don Bosco organization, as the Don Bosco Global Society, is working for young people. And therefore, in the context of today's event, the launching of the Integral Ecology Plan, we might be tempted to ask this question: why is Don Bosco present in the ecological field? Why do environmental matters concern us? Of course, in a way, our provincial Father George has already touched upon this question in his inaugural address. But let me elaborate this matter a little further. A term, a phrase that we are hearing quite often these days, which is unfortunately becoming popular across the world, is the term eco-anxiety. And particularly, we talk about eco-anxiety among young people. That means children, youth having eco-anxiety. I'm sure all of us present in this hall this morning, being persons engaged in environmental matters, we are very familiar with the term of eco-anxiety, which is defined as young people having a consistent fear, anxiety about their health, about their education, about their jobs, about their future, in the context of what is happening with regard to the environmental crisis. How is the climate crisis? How is air pollution? How are other factors which make up the environmental crisis? How is all this going to affect them and their future? This is what we call the eco-anxiety among young people. Just 3 years back, we have the Lancet study, which was done across many countries in the world, where young people in the age group of 16 to 25 were surveyed, and 60% of the respondents, 60%, that's a high figure, described themselves as extremely worried about their future because of climate change and other environmental issues. 60% describe themselves as very or extremely anxious. And 85% of the young people who were surveyed describe themselves being at least moderately concerned about these issues. These are very high percentages of eco-anxiety among our youngsters today. I was looking up a few studies from the African continent, and based on which study you look at, there are a variety of statistics. But these figures, again, are a range of 70 to 78%, and in some cases even higher, where young people in different countries of the African continent describe themselves as having eco-anxiety. They are worried about the future because of climate change and because of the environmental crisis. Well, my dear friends, if the environmental crisis is causing serious concern to young people, not only does this become a concern for the Don Bosco Society, it also becomes for us an immediate call to action. Because whatever concerns young people, whatever affects young people, affects the Don Bosco Society. We have been hearing about Laudato Si since this morning, and there is a very powerful statement that Pope Francis makes in Laudato Si, Article 13, where he says, young people demand change. Young people demand change. In the face of the environmental crisis, young people demand change. They wonder how anyone can claim to be building a better future without thinking about the environmental crisis. So this obviously, like I said, pushes the entire Don Bosco society into action. And I'm happy to say that even before Laudato Si, we know that Laudato Si was published in 2015, but even before that, yes, we got very much into action with regard to the environmental crisis and what needs to be our response. And over these years, over the last 15 years or more, there have been many initiatives taken by the Don Bosco Society globally. In the interest of time, I will limit myself very rapidly to highlighting 5 ways in which we, as a Don Bosco Society, have been globally responding to the environmental crisis. And the first way, very obvious for us, is by promoting environmental or ecological education. We know that primarily Don Bosco is an educational organization. It is an educational society. And therefore, this becomes for us an extremely important aspect of our ecological work, promoting ecological education. In many schools, in different parts of the world, in several countries, and I'm sure it is happening also in the African continent, probably in our schools in Kenya, we have already integrated ecological topics into the curriculum, formally or informally. In some places, it has been introduced as a formal subject. In other places, ecological topics are being introduced within subjects like science, geography, or other relevant subjects. And this is to give the students a very in-depth understanding of the issues. Because sometimes it is ignorance that leads us into actions that are detrimental to the environment. And so in our education, we are enabling young people to really understand the root causes of the issues that we are facing today. Be it climate change, be it air pollution, water contamination, biodiversity loss, waste management, whatever we want to look at. And not just the issues and their causes, but what could be possible solutions to these matters. We are encouraging the students and schools to take up sustainable practices like recycling, tree planting, water conservation, actually creating green campuses, because this becomes an educational model for the children. Very often we use this phrase that values are caught, not taught. And if we want to really create a new generation of ecologically conscious, ecologically sensitive and active citizens, we need to form them in a campus that becomes a testimony to what we believe. And so yes, promotion of ecological education becomes for us an extremely important aspect of our work, which again is taken forward through eco clubs and so many other elements that we have in our schools. So this is the first way, one of the primary ways in which we have been responding to the crisis by working towards creating a generation of environmentally conscious and engaged citizens. A second aspect of our work globally as the Don Bosco Society is focusing on green skills training. Again, along with academic schools, we are very well known for our vocational training centers, technical skill training institutes. And in all these institutes, in different parts of the world, we have already, over the last 10 years and more, begun introducing green skills training programs. And I'm happy to say, my dear friends, that probably one of the best examples that we have is DB Tech Africa, Don Bosco Tech Africa, which, as was mentioned this morning, is a network of 118 Don Bosco TVET centers spread across 34 countries in the region. And DB Tech Africa, since the last few years, has been promoting a very important program called the Green TVET Initiative. This is preparing technicians for a green economy. Across the world, whether it is in the World Economic Forum, whether it is discussions at the United Nations, whether it is so many corporate companies, they are all talking of transitioning towards a green economy. But a green economy needs a very sound and solid green workforce, preparing technicians for a green economy. And that is the second way in which we have been contributing towards responding to the environmental crisis by creating, allow me to use the word, an entire army of green technicians in different parts of the world. Because unless we have green technicians, we are not going to have green businesses. And with in our TVETs is another big contribution that the Don Bosco Society is making. A third response, my dear friends, that we have taken up seriously, and I was very happy to hear Father Selvam already in presenting the first pillar of the plan focusing on this topic, is that the Don Bosco Society has made a commitment towards shifting to renewable energy. All of us are very, very familiar with this topic. We know that it is fossil fuels which is one of the main drivers of climate change in the world. Very soon we are going to be having COP30 in Brazil, where we will have two of our Don Bosco priests, one representing Don Bosco UN, that is Father Matthew Thomas from New York, and the second, Father Silvio Torres from Argentina, representing Don Bosco. Please let me know when I may continue. Okay, thank you. So as I was saying, in 2019, November 2019, we had a global conference in Rome, which was titled Energy Forever. And we had a very serious discussion at this moment on how we can transition On which we are working globally of transitioning 100% onto renewable energy. The fourth aspect that we have taken up globally is investing in community-based environmental projects. The earlier three aspects that I spoke about, whether it is environmental education, green skills, moving our institutions to renewable energy, largely focuses on the institutions. But we don't only work in institutions, we also work in communities. And we know that particularly poor and marginalized communities worldwide are largely affected by climate change, water contamination, air pollution, etc. And so we are working very seriously in so many parts of the world in helping local communities, especially poor and marginalized communities, by promoting environmental and sustainable practices. Practices which I'm sure you're familiar with, and therefore I will not spend too much time on them. Aspects like organic farming, reforestation, or agricultural techniques, watershed management projects, climate change adaptation for farmers. These are not only projects which are aimed at protecting the environment, but also aimed at protecting livelihoods. Because like I said, unfortunately, it is the poor, it is marginalized communities that suffer most because of the environmental crisis. And so that is the fourth commitment that we have taken up and which we are working on is community-based environmental projects. And the fifth and the final aspect that I would like to highlight this morning as a Don Bosco response globally to the environmental crisis is fostering global youth movements, particularly focused on advocacy and environmental justice. Over the years, maybe for the past century or so, Don Bosco has been fostering youth movements in different parts of the world. But over the last decade, we have begun greening these youth movements, bringing in an entire green dimension to our youth work and to the youth movements. We have been mobilizing youngsters to play an active role in environmental advocacy. We have been encouraging young people to join awareness campaigns. We have been fostering, encouraging youngsters, even in our schools, parishes, and other places, to join global networks that advocate for the environment. We are living very strongly in the digital age where social media has become the actual world in which young people live. And so today we are using digital platforms in all our international Salesian networks to spread the message of ecological responsibility. We have had our young people, for example, participating in a variety of world events, be it the World Environment Day, Earth Hour, the season of creation, which we have just completed on the 4th of October. Father Selvam was talking about the 4th of October being the closing day or the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi. We also closed the season of creation on that day, and the Don Bosco Green Alliance is a member of the steering committee of the season of creation. Through all these different global networks, we have been working towards environmental advocacy and promoting ecological justice, ingrained into the sixth pillar of the plan that we are launching this morning. Well, my dear friends, allow me to conclude by saying that yes, Don Bosco as a society globally has taken many steps, but these are all small steps, because the global crisis with which we are faced is truly a storm. is a gigantic affair, and it takes a lot of effort. It takes all of us. It takes every possible means to really address this crisis. And I'm very happy that the event at which we are this morning is clearly one step in the right direction. Just a few months back, we had again our general chapter in Italy. Father Provincial, Father George, Brother John were present at this meeting. Probably others who are online were also present. And the general chapter, which is the highest meeting and body of the Don Bosco Society, has applauded the efforts that we have made over the past years. But the general chapter again has very clearly pointed out that today we cannot in any way slow down. We have to make every effort in a systematic manner in order to address what the world is facing. And I believe that the integral ecology plan that we are launching this morning in Kenya, in Nairobi, is truly a comprehensive and concrete step in this direction. Once again, my very hearty congratulations to each one of you for having taken this powerful, this bold, this much required step, which will be an inspiration to many provinces. We have 92 provinces across the world. I'm sure this will be a huge inspiration to provinces across the world. Thank you so much for being a leader and a front runner in this field. And I wish you every blessing as you move forward to implement this plan. Thank you, and may God continue blessing you.
Thank you, Father Savio, for your elaboration and taking time with us to present the Don Bosco Global Agenda on Climate Change Mitigation. We truly appreciate your time and we welcome you to stay with us through the end of the session today. Thank you. As we move to the next session, I would like to make one or two announcements that we are still getting served more water. And remember that once you finish your water, there is a water refilling point at the back. There is a dispenser you can refill there, including during lunchtime. You will still access the same dispenser. Thank you very much. Now we move to the second final session in the presentations. I invite again Father Saya Selvam, the Executive Director of Don Bosco Development Outreach Network, to take us through this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ngui, for leading this. And let me also take this opportunity to thank Father Savio, very professional in his input, very scientific, at the same time motivational, very apt for this day. I didn't know him personally until we started communicating with him on email the past week. He was appointed to the global sort of agenda of integral ecology at Don Bosco recently, and since then we have been trying to get him for this event, and his talk was really what we needed today. It was very informative and educative. Thank you, Father Savio, and we look forward to working with you. One of the terms that people keep mentioning, as you see, is province. As I said, we are 13,500 full-time members working in 137 countries as Don Bosco Global, and therefore for organizational purposes we are divided into provinces. And these provinces could consist of one country sometimes. Sometimes within one country we could have many provinces, like India having 11 provinces. Sometimes it could consist of many countries. So our province is known as the East African province, and it is consisting of 3 countries at the moment: Kenya, South Sudan and the Sudan. Unfortunately, Sudan is out of news right now, but there is a sad war going on, and therefore 3 of our institutions have been temporarily suspended. So we continue to pray for peace in the Sudan, in the Republic of Sudan. So that is the province, and when we say provincial superior, he is the boss of this administrative unit. And we say he is tasked with governance and animation. And he is assisted by a provincial council, and some of us are members of that. All right. So I want to conclude my presentation on the integral ecology plan, remaining with the 5 more pillars, and then I would invite the provincial, Father George TJ, to launch officially the plan. Then there is an important event that is coming up. We want you to group up into thematic areas. So as I keep presenting, you need to identify yourself. Which pillar are you in? And then we want to have some breakout sessions in your interest pillar with one of the staff from DBDON to get to know how we can improve our plan. By then you will have the text of the plan in your hands after the launch. And then where do you come into this plan? To work with Don Bosco, Kenya. And as Father Savio has challenged us, this is our first country where we are launching, and therefore you can have access even through DB Tech Kenya, that is here well represented, to the rest of Africa. As you have seen, we have a great network across African continent. So yes, we talk business, we talk about enhancing lives of people. That's why we are here. So the second pillar is carbon management and SDGs 11 and 15. So what is carbon management in terms of principle? Of course, we have to go back to primary school. I'm sure you saw this chart somewhere when you were in primary school of carbon cycle. The sun interacting with the plants, and the plants absorbing water from the ground and minerals, and absorbing, breathing in oxygen and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, when it is going through a photosynthesis process, what is it doing? It is capturing carbon. And fossil fuel is nothing but carbon captured by plants and animals millions of years ago. And then industrial revolution, what is it doing? It is releasing carbon with an accelerated speed as compared to what is capable to be captured as carbon. Why we are cutting down trees? Of course, we need to cut down trees, I understand, because we have to, the population of Africa is going to double in the next 3 decades. How are we going to feed? We need food. So simplest way is to destroy forests and to cultivate. But can the West support us? And that is where the global talks of this COP fail, because they don't want us to destroy the forests, but they don't want us to also emit carbon. And so how are we going to develop? How are we going to feed our population? So these are challenges. And since the Industrial Revolution, fossil fuel has become the source of energy, but comes with a huge impact, negative impact. And what is the problem of the fossil fuel? Fossil fuel accelerates carbon emission and causes greenhouse effect. So what is greenhouse effect? The excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere forms a blanket over the atmosphere and retains heat. I'm taking you through basic physics and chemistry here, because we need to understand that. It is not left to lecturers. I am not a scientist. I'm just an ordinary layperson when it comes to this. But we have to know it. There is no other way today. And so what happens? Rise in temperature. And rise in temperature causes a climate chaos across. Do you know what is the largest carbon emitter today? More than fossil fuel? Do you know what is it? Melting ice in the polar regions. Because carbon has been captured under the ice, glaciers in the polar region. And because of melting ice, it is being released. So we have to control the temperature. And that is where some people think that this climate crisis is not real. Great leaders in this world. And that is where we are. So what is our little contribution? Where do we start? We need to reduce fossil fuel use, and we need to increase carbon capture. This is it. This is Mazingira Day. Okay? So that is why are we planting trees? Because we want to capture more carbon that we are contributing by use of our own cars. We are struggling with the SGR in Kenya. If SGR can be non-politicized in this country and used efficiently, we can take trucks off the road. We can reduce carbon emission. These are the solutions. So it is not about politics. It is about life and death. As Father Savio said, young people across the globe are becoming anxious about the future. And what is this earth that we want to hand over to our next generation? So, as Don Bosco, we commit ourselves to reducing institutional carbon footprint. So we need to understand in every choice that we make, how much is the carbon footprint? If rice that is cultivated in Vietnam is brought to Kenya, while we have rice cultivated in Kenya, yes, rice cultivated in Pakistan and Vietnam is cheap, but what is the carbon footprint to bring it across the globe? What is the carbon emission of the ships and the container ships that brought it here to make it cheap for you? Carbon footprint. Easy solutions, cheap solutions are expensive. So we need to think, and small-scale reforestation, that's what we can do. We are targeting 500,000 trees to be planted in the next 5 years. Ask Don Bosco. That is our commitment. And managing methane emissions because of unscientific use of organic waste. Increase of cattle, that is a liability. Yeah. So yes, I also have an anthropological background, so I'm very sensitive to cultures. So I used to think, should I criticize the Maasais and the Rendiles and Samburus who have hundreds of cows that are a liability? They are redundant wealth exchanged in marriage. Today I dare to make a statement because it affects me of all the methane that is emitted by cattle. Beef that is produced in Argentina and eaten by the Wazungu in Europe has so much impact on the climate by methane. Okay, so we need to know things, we need to make decisions. So as Don Bosco, we commit ourselves these sort of projects: Don Bosco reforestation and readaptation, tree adaptation, agroforestry, youth enterprise programs, and we commit ourselves to 500,000 trees in the next 5 years. Low carbon lifestyle. Low carbon lifestyle. I'll come back to this in the last pillar. So we have already done a lot of work in this, supported by DBTech projects, and this project, which was a brainchild of Father Brother Njuguna, who is not here at the moment, we gave out 25,000 avocado trees and 7,000 macadamia trees in 2 locations in Kenya to over 1,400 farmers who are young. And today, 4 years down the line, this project has improved livelihood. We are in the process of forming cooperatives. to bring together these farmers to get better value for macadamia and avocado. It is helping in the carbon capture. It is retaining soil in the the farms of Machakos. And every time I go to see this, I feel moved. So we applied for a project to scale up this project across Kenya. And we are lucky, last week we have got this 200,000 euro project by Slovak aid through Don Bosco, Slovakia. And we are going to target them in Meru, Kitale and Makuyu, that is Murang'a County. And so this plan is already being implemented. And the moment they saw our plan, the draft of a plan, this project got approved. So there is a lot of scope in this, and even as Don Bosco fathers, Don Bosco members, we need to believe in this. And it is not about just putting bread on the table. This is where money is, and this is where we can make impact today in the world. So water management, SDG 6. So principles to understand. Underground water is not an infinite source. Underground water is not an infinite source. As we speak, Cape Town does not have underground water in Africa. You go to Cape Town and stay in a hotel, there is a note there which says, hold the basin that is put on the bathroom, just put it there where you are taking shower. It is called grave water. Just leave it there. One who comes to clean your room, next day will know what to do with it. What do? They put it back to the sink for flushing. I'm a Kenyan citizen now, but the district where I come from, or my neighboring district, does not have underground water. Completely depleted because of over-cultivation, over-irrigation of rice fields in India. Completely gone. Can we learn from this in Kenya? And underground water is already a problem in Kenya. And I was in one of our Don Bosco institutions in Marsabit County, and I was so saddened to see the water overflowing from the tank. Why? What's the problem? We have solar system that is pumping, and so water is going waste. But solar is okay, electricity is okay. You have sorted that out. But what about the water? You are taking underground water and wasting it. Underground water is not an infinite source. Destruction of marshy areas threaten underground aquifers and existing ecosystem. I took 2 engineers to show a marshy area in Embu, 13.9 acres, and I said, we would like the water to be preserved while we want to plant trees. Can we come up with a plan? And they said, Father, why don't you just backfill and put up a building here? Engineers in Kenya have easy solutions. But what is going to happen to the underground supply systems that are coming from marshy areas? I have lived in Karen for 17 years. 17 years I have lived in the same institution, on and off since 92. Former marshy areas have become estates today. But where does this water go? And now and then former NEMA director is here. Now and then the government comes and destroys big buildings because it is on riparian land. But what happened when the permit was given? Okay, so, but what is Don Bosco going to do about it? We want to put up buildings on former marshy areas? No, we are going to commit ourselves to preserve marshy areas. And rainwater is a providential source. So what do we want to do as Don Bosco? Reclaiming rainwater. So we want to harvest at least 60% of our roof water. Protecting marshy areas. So come on board, help us to do this. and water conscious design in landscaping and gardening. Even Don Bosco, my colleagues are going to throw stones at me, but I'm going to say this. Every time we have a lawn, think, where is this water coming from to keep it green? In Europe, in Germany, lawns are forbidden. Cape Town, don't even think about it. Okay? In Kenya, let us not reinvent the wheel. Unless this water is recycled water from grey water, we should not have green garden. We can have shrub gardens. So those are Don Bosco commitments. Okay? So promoting water stewardship through behavior change. What is behavior change? Through our churches. For example, this church has access to 5,000 souls. And I was in one of the families here, you know what in the Catholic Church we call Jumuias. I went for a mass and they said, Father, you know, in our parish there was a series of education about environment. And now when I brush my teeth, I do not let the water go off my tap as I am brushing. I control the tap. I hold it in a mug and I take the water to wash my mouth from the mug, not from the tap. Small behavior changes. Okay? So, and we have access to 45,000 people in Don Bosco, Kenya. Yeah. Okay, so projects, at least 60% of roof water harvesting, identify, protect and enhance marshy areas, 60% of all wastewater to be recycled, and water steward in the 6th pillar. Okay? So, waste management, SDGs 12 and 11. So, basic principle. What is the solution to waste management? What is the best solution to waste management? Not recycle. Not recycle. Reduce. Reduce use. Second solution, reuse. So every time you have finished using your blue band box, we need to rethink, what can I use this for? Reuse and then recycle. So that is the principle. Organic waste is a resource. E-waste, so we are happy that the WE Center from Embakasi, Utawala area is represented here. And I'm very passionate about it. I have been having a conversation with it. When I visited, I said, wow, we hope Don Bosco, Kenya can have such a center which can provide jobs, and all those photocopiers that are lying in our stores, hoarding up, our old printers, computers, we think we will use it. Are we going to use it? But how soon can we, all these UPS with battery cells, they're lying on your stores. How do we recycle them? Yeah. Okay, so this biogas plant, already we have had a small talk from the representative of the Rotary Club. We are happy that this has come through in one of our centers. Can we team up in other places where we can process organic waste in terms of producing biogas for our kitchens, for our boarding schools? At the same time, we can produce fertilizer, organic fertilizer from this, the output. So this is a way forward. Yes. So Mzee, you can see how passionate I am about the WE Center. And then today you can see already we have replaced plastic bottles with these glass bottles that can be recycled. If you want to take them, please take ahead. If you want to leave it, please leave it. And we recycle them. And that is the way to go forward. Even a lot of Catholic institutions are producing water, income generating projects. But think of all the plastic bottles that you are using in the name of income generation. Sustainable agriculture, SDGs 2, 15, and what are the basic principles? Yes, we have to cultivate, but we need to care for the land and the soil. Already Irene with units. We have at the moment 2 training units in Embu and Kakuma. We are currently doing one in, we are developing in Siaya, dairy market, and so investment on greenhouses, drip irrigation. So these are our existing projects. Yes, this is the one in Embu with an Israeli aid collaboration, Israeli NGO called Cultivate. We hope it will be mainstreamed into our training unit. We already have an approved program that we also separate, works parallelly, but we hope it can be integrated. This is our Kakuma project, and the future, already we are grading this, we have plowed this land. Of course, that what is being graded is the roads and the playground, but we are developing the agricultural training unit. Okay, finally, ecological conversion through information, education, and spirituality. SDGs, ecological conversion. We all need to embrace an ecological responsibility. What does it consist in? It is a duty. We need to embrace that duty to protect and maintain environment sustainably. It needs 2 levels of intervention, as individuals and as institutions. 3 steps in ecological responsibility or ecological intelligence. You know emotional intelligence? You've heard of emotional intelligence? Do you know the first person who proposed that, the psychologist? One Coleman. Now, he has written a second book on ecological intelligence. Ecological intelligence. The same guy who wrote emotional intelligence has written a book on ecological intelligence. What is it? You need to understand the situation. You need to understand what's happening across different areas. You need to make choices daily and build ecologically healthy habits. And that becomes a virtue of ecological responsibility. We have already talked about this. And so, in terms of precise projects, yes, greening of Tibet curriculum is already in progress. We want to work with DB Tech Kenya to embrace the curriculum that they have already adopted. Already DB Tech also has a green handbook, which we want to implement seriously, not only in the Tibet sector, but across all our institutions. We want to strengthen our green clubs, not only in the Tibet institutions, but across the 14 places, green clubs, and we want to become part of Don Bosco Green Alliance, of which the founder is Father Savio, who spoke to us earlier. So, thank you very much, and welcome.
Thank you, Father Selvam, for that passionate presentation about our integral ecology plan. Now we are moving to the most critical phase of today's event, which is the launch of the Don Bosco Ecological Strategy 2026 to 2030. And as we do that, I'm going to request the media team to play a video as we get ready for that. Meanwhile, all of you have seen this blue. Is it blue or green? I am not colorblind. Don't believe what I say. Anyway, so this green sheet, there is this QR code. This is very, very important for us. Please scan and register. If you are not able to register, we have Dibidon staff. Anyone with a shirt with, apart from Father Selvam and Same Bale, anyone else, actually the ones with white shirts with the logo Dibidon, please approach him or her for registration. Thank you very much. That was a very beautiful video. I don't know why it's not playing. we will send it to your phones. Thank you. At this moment, we are now ready to launch the Don Bosco Kenya Integral Ecology Plan. I will ask DBDON staff to please talk to John Mwaniki and the ones, Lucy, Irene, and the rest of us, apart from Alex and the rest, so that we can get ready with the plans to distribute to all of us. Then now, I would like to invite Father George Tharanier. Only recently I knew how to pronounce the word Tharanier. To please come forward and get ready to unpack the package which contains our strategic plan. He will be flanked by Father Saya Selvam, by Father Maximus Okoro from Don Bosco Tech Africa, by Dr. Musili from We Center, by a representative from AFDC, Agricultural Finance Development Corporation. Are you still with us? I see you. IFDC, sorry. IFDC. By the way, we had also AFDB. I don't know if it's the African Development Bank. Then at the grassroots level, we will have someone from out of the country, out of Nairobi. Maybe we have, since I only know Mr. Peter, or if we have someone else from, we had some person from county government of Kiambu. If you've come, you are in the list to join, but if it's not there, we invite Mr. Peter to be able to join the provincial in unpacking the strategic plan. Welcome, Father.